What's up, everybody? In this video, I'm going to go over how you can use authorized user accounts to help your clients get better credit fast. So let's dive into it. So, what are some of the reasons why your client may need authorized user accounts? So maybe you have a client that has no credit history. Or maybe you have a client with light credit history, or maybe you are the person with no or light credit history. Why would this occur? Number one, they could be in their early 20s. They could be new citizens. They may have an ITIN. They could have paid for a credit sweep or filed bankruptcy, went through a divorce, had their credit stolen. Maybe they use cash for things, or they don't actively have open credit. So these are the most common situations where we see that clients or yourself may have no or light credit. So how does an authorized user account help with no or light credit? So I want you to imagine that your client or yourself, you have maybe 0 to 3 years of credit. Maybe you have a few secured cards or some very small credit cards. When I say small credit cards, what I mean is with credit limits under 1,000 or maybe only a few thousand. If you have a credit history and a mixed credit of something along those lines, it can lead to declines in certain types of situations. You may be declined for credit cards, you could be declined for loans, you could be declined for cars, even rent. And now in 2023, there are many companies that are doing credit checks for employment. So, how can the AU accounts help with this? So an AU account can post within 2 to 4 weeks and will dramatically change your client or your score once added. So let me break down something more specific so you can get a better understanding in your head of what this looks like. So here's a very common situation we see in clients. I want you to imagine, and this could be you, I could be speaking about your situation currently. So I want you to imagine you have under 2 years of credit and you have two cards under $1,000 with your available credit, whether it's available or total, right? You are needing a longer credit history and a higher credit limit in order for you to get the job done. And I want you to imagine that you need this done in 2 months or less. So let me pause before I break down the offers. Authorized user accounts are temporary help to get you or your client the need. So I want you to imagine that your client is trying to get a mortgage. They are trying to get approved for an apartment. They're having certain life situations, some troubles or even opportunities, and they need available credit. Authorized user accounts can dramatically change their situation for temporary purposes, get them what they need. But for long-term permanent solutions, you or your clients need to be in legal credit repair. For me personally, I had to go through credit repair after being in a very unhealthy relationship, running up credit card debt, getting so sick I couldn't work. I battled bad credit for years because of a particular situation. And I had to invest in myself 16 months of credit repair in order to get up over a 700 credit score. So long term, you need credit repair, but for short term, authorized user accounts can be that hack or that fast track to get you where you need to go. So let's revisit the situation. You have the 2 years, under 2 years, light credit. This is considered light credit, okay? What happens when you add 1 to 3 authorized user accounts? So in this situation, I'm going to use two. So imagine that you or your client get two of our authorized user accounts with 12,000 plus in a credit limit and with 17 years history. So we're doing two things. We're adding credit history and we're adding credit limits because it will do two things. It will show that you have a higher credit limit and longer history. So they go from not being approved to being approved. And in this situation, in the two authorized user accounts that I used, your client paid about $1,600. A lot of people are selling authorized user accounts for well over $1,000 a piece. We do not. Yes, we do have some available in that price range, but we have some of the most affordable authorized user accounts available. So now I want to go into another very typical situation, and this may even be more popular for some of you. Your client's utilization is too high. So what does that mean? How would an authorized user account help with high utilization? Now, this is where we see the most help, especially in the mortgage industry. So again, I want you to imagine that your client's utilization is well over the 40%. 40% is usually that max number that the financial institutions want to see. So whether that equals $5,000 or $50,000 in debt, that utilization must be reduced in order for you to get an approval. But what if your client simply doesn't have the funds? So I want you to imagine, here's a situation. Let's look at one of the most common situations. I want you to imagine that you or your client has $20,000 in credit card debt and their utilization is 60%. So in order for them to get under 40% utilization, you or your client would need to have $6,500. They would need to pay off $6,500 to get themselves at that 40% or under mark. Okay. But what if your client simply does not have $6,500? Imagine they're going through the home buying process and they just simply do not have that extra $6,500. How can you get this done? Here is the example. When you add 1 to 3 authorized user accounts, in this example, we are adding 2 authorized user accounts with $10,000 credit limits. So it's going to add an extra $20,000 to your client's available credit. Now, because they added accounts with more available credit, their utilization was brought down to 31%, which is well below the 40% needed. And it only cost your client $1,100. The authorized user accounts in this example total cost right under $1,100. Way more clients have $1,100 than they do $6,500. Yes, it will count. It will cost them some capital, but it's not going to cost as extreme. So again, we have our AU accounts can be as cheap as $255 and as expensive as a little over $2,000. I want you to imagine that this store is similar to an Amazon store where you or your client can go in, search the inventory, and purchase accounts at your need. I'm going to show you real quickly what the website looks like, because in the last slide, there's going to be a QR code. Screenshot that, save that, and follow the steps. So this is the homepage of our trade line store. You're going to go ahead and click on Buy Trade Lines. Next, you are going to get a list of trade line inventory. This is updated at least once a month. Okay, so in this example, and these may not be available when you go to the website, but at this moment, this is a live shot of our available trade lines. And as you can see, the price is as low as $255. Now, the price is based on how long it's going to report, the limit, and the date open. So I'm going to go a little bit closer to show you a few examples. Here is 3 different examples between $500 and $700. I'm going to break this down. This is the statement date. So this is the date which it will start reporting. Next, the number of months. This is going to stay on you or your client's account for 2 months. Okay, it is an authorized account. It is revolving, and then it shows where it's from. In these particular ones, it's a Cap One or a Cap One Quicksilver, and then you have a Sears Citibank, right? So you see the limits. We have 3,900, 37, 35, and then you look at the date open. Look, 1996. There's 2 available slots. 1996 was a whole long time ago. So that would be adding a ridiculous amount of history, which could really help. Now, the limit's lower, but if you are stuck not having much at all, like this is for a person with very light, like these lines are for very light or a little credit, you add these, they're on a bit of the cheaper side. You can see that these are more expensive. Obviously, all of these are more expensive because of the age. Like we're talking about 2000, 1998, 1996. That's a very long age. So that's why these are more expensive. The other ones that we have in the 3,000 limit, the credit limit age, will be down in the $200, $300 range because most of them have been open the last few years. And so these are forever changing and we're constantly adding more inventory. So if you are ready to purchase your own authorized user account, or if you're looking to secure lines for your clients, you can browse our inventory. Right here is the QR code. You can browse the inventory 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The inventory does update. Now, I want to give you just a few quick tips before I go. If you are doing it for a client, you can actually add yourself as a broker and put your name and contact information, and we'll reach out to you. Next, if you or you are the client and you're going ahead and looking to purchase some of these lines, please understand that when you select your lines and you go to check out, there is a 15-minute checkout timer, similar to when you buy tickets online. So you'll need to complete that process in 15 minutes. So keep that in mind to ensure that you have very good Wi-Fi or internet, and make sure you have the time to complete that process. If for some reason it times out on you, it's okay. You may not see that trade line, that authorized user account, back in for another 15 or 20 minutes because it's pulled manually to secure that spot for you. That way we ensure that those lines aren't being purchased by somebody else. And now I want to wrap it up with one final thought and concept. There can be, if you utilize and you Google, which hopefully all of you have done your research on authorized user accounts and how it can help, there is risk involved with authorized user accounts. And I want to talk about this because the Lone Wolf, which is what I'm known for, is very much about transparency. So a big part of the transparency is getting you, each one of you, to understand that where you get your trade lines matter. I've been in the finance industry 5 years, and this is the first time I've ever offered this because the quality of trade line and how it's being monitored is key. And here's why. When you purchase an authorized user account, you are now put on their account as an authorized user. So you gain whatever's on that account. You gain the history, you gain the payments, you gain the credit limit. If someone is misusing that, if they're actually utilizing the card, so then the credit limit becomes smaller. Imagine you have a $5,000 credit limit, you're added as an authorized user onto that, but then that person maxes out that credit, that's going to hurt you. So if you go onto Google or Reddit or other forums where you research the good and the bad of authorized users, you will and should come across some negative feedback in that regard. So the reason why I've chosen this setup and these guys and these developers is because the accounts are authorized, they're monitored, and they're insured to maintain well under 10%. So is it risky? Of course, anything can be a risk, but we have minimized that risk down to nearly nothing because the way we monitor and because of the lines that we provide. We're very particular about them and they will not harm you. So again, to wrap it up, you can purchase authorized trade lines to help temporarily boost your credit to get you the things that you need. Okay, you will pay for that credit line one time. Most of our options report for 2 months. We do have a few that report for 3. You can choose what you want. You can buy 1, you can buy 20. Once you purchase, okay, once you sign up and say, hey, I'm going to purchase these, you'll be sent an invoice or be contacted by the team. Once you pay, you will then get a portal and you'll be able to track where you are at in it reporting and when it reports, when it posts and all of that. So you won't be held in the dark. You will know and you will understand and you will see that process all the way through. And then as you need to buy more, they will be there. We update our inventory every month. So if you have any questions, go ahead and comment below. You can also email me at ashley@thelonewolf.co. It's not .com, y'all. So if you have any questions, you can comment below or you can send me an email. But go ahead, utilize this platform, get your clients the AU accounts they need with minimal risk at it harming their credit, and let's get the best results for our clients in 2023, y'all. Have a great